Welcome everyone to the Irish Chewy Gaming Productions stream. This is Irish Chewy. I am going to go over one of my games here. I'm going to go through each of the characters now in Apex and tell you the good and bad for them. The first character I'm actually going to use is Catalyst, and I've actually got a map that I will be putting on here that will show you that where I start landing from, which is the Foundry. We will go over what I've done good and bad during the video, and we will see what all I could have done better. These games I am showing you are in a duo solo format, as doing the solo queue in ranked is very hard to do in season 17 and 18. I have not gotten the best of luck. I've not gotten the set and actually run the way I wanted to. So let's sit back and relax and we will get started. Now, I want you all to note that whenever I'm looking at the screen here, the first thing I've always started to do was look to see where everybody else jumps. That helps you gain an understanding on where you need to land so you can, equip a lot faster. Is while I'm jumping, if you look, you'll see a lot of the sky trails from the other teams as you go down through. As I'm going down through, the first thing I'm looking at is more to the left, where there was one team to the left where I thought originally there was a Mirage there. And so I decided to go in a little bit quicker to get to the Foundry so I can go ahead and get loaded up and get ready to start.
Attention. First blood. Round one. Beginning ring countdown.
One thing you'll note in the Foundry that a lot of people don't see is the fact that there is some high loot. You'll see that I did pick up a purple shield, got the Hemlock and 99 to start. I switched to the Rampage because one of my favorite guns is the Rampage, especially when you put on the Thermite Grenade, which I think of it as a heating up device, and it will shatter a player within a matter of seconds.
45 seconds, and that's a long way to go.
Okay, and right now as you look through, I'm actually doing a ×4 on my speed because a lot of this is normal, just looting, going until you can actually get to where you need to go. I was just picking up a lot of loot, searching, and going from there. Okay, now as you see here, I actually done a screenshot here of the broken map and about where the ring was starting to close there. As you see where I'm circling around the cultivation, the attestation, the terraformer, that is where the initial ring was closing. I do believe this was the first ring. And when people talk about rotation on the map, there's a few things that you need to understand. One of them being is, yes, the ring does grow smaller. And when the ring actually does grow smaller, it does hurt you in the red, which most everybody understands that. But it's not a randomized is what you would understand. So, as an example out of this, if I were to look at this and see where everything was actually shaping down through, a lot of it goes from the cultivation, and you see the ring actually gets smaller. The idea that it is not as random was what most people think, and that's generally what it is. But that's where rotating, north, south, east, west, wherever you're dropping across, that will help you. That is one of the things that I have utilized and seen. I've been playing Apex Owl since season 2 or 3. Um, And that is one of the things that I've really learned to understand is the rotation of the maps. And when you actually have people on the maps itself and in your group being able to rotate, make sure you also utilize pinging whenever you have people that do not have mics. And if you have mics, make sure you talk with them and say, hey, we should rotate here. And if you don't say rotate, like, hey, let's go here, and pinpoint on the map for them so they understand what you're thinking about doing and discuss it as a team. Now you'll notice right here that I've went ahead and loaded up the thermite grenade because I was getting ready to go into a building, and being as it was so quiet, I didn't know what was going to happen. And right here you're going to see as I kind of stop and I seen the door open, then I heard a footstep right there on the second floor. Go ahead and rotate around the building, just climb into the window there, catch him off guard, and go ahead and drop him for 192. This also helps whenever you're looking around buildings, knows where the openings are and finding your escape points. That is some of the quickest tips I can give you, whether it's Callus or any other character. What I'll show y'all here is while you're actually running through, one thing to definitely look for while you are playing or even listening for is where gunfire is. Like right there, I was hearing gunfire from about the northwest a little bit, so it helped me determine where I needed to rotate. I knew where the ring was closing. And as I got closer here, you will hear that the gunshots were actually getting louder. And whenever they were, I was, and not really loud, but a lot more firing, which means there was more teams around. So I went ahead and popped off another thermite here, as you'll see, just to get ready, because you never know where they're going to be at. And so going through this, I kind of waited here because I wanted to see what was around the area. I wanted to make sure I was just definitely inside the ring. Wanted to gather up some stuff, gathering materials. Because you never know when you're going to use them. The heat up time consumption for the rampage is quite a bit until you actually use the gun. So you have a lot of time at your disposal to use it. Getting a blue or a purple mag will definitely help you. Like I said earlier, the rampage is one of those guns that will drop people very quickly. And if you have a purple mag onto it, it will shred them.
Round 2, beginning ring countdown.
And like I said, I'm just sitting there kind of looking
the
around,
next ring's far.
going through everything. So I kind of popped off the thermite a little bit earlier than I probably should have.
Replicator falling to
And I could have saved it up here. As you'll see, there's times that you pop off that thermite, and there's times you shouldn't. And that was one of those times I probably should have waited. Now you'll notice right here that there is a black market from Loba. These are very good tools to have, especially if there's an enemy that is a Loba. I was able just to kind of see what I was going to need. I loaded up on ammo because I never knew what was going to happen. Right there, you heard what was either a Sentinel or a Kraber. And right there, you can see where it's hit. You can see where that ring was closing at, and it looked like
45 seconds.
it was going to close a little bit further than I expected. Right here, you can see I start popping off. I didn't understand what was going on because I felt I was dead, and the team just kind of disappeared on me, and it kind of confused me for a few seconds. And right there, the Lobo was, right there. I was aiming on that. It was terrible. And then I was able to get his teammate right here using the alternator.
In progress.
And so that was one team. Then there's a team that had, you know, but I didn't see her right off. They charged forward, like I said, ring was closing. You know, the first ring, the second ring is a 5-minute window, but then after that they go to 2 minutes. So being very cognitive on where you want to have your, you know, have the rings, and knowing the rings is vital, especially when it comes to end game. This game, yeah, it lasted roughly 11, 12 minutes. And what's funny is the one that got knocked, he was already out. The Loba, I think, was trying to revive him during all that, and they ended up both getting knocked. So one thing I didn't realize, and I was just in awe of both of them being knocked, was the simple fact that I was getting ready to go up against here.
I took out a whole squad. Worked like a
realized
charm.
that the team was that I ended up actually getting ready to fight another team here. And whenever I did, I was also rushing because, again, the ring was closing. So it didn't give me the opportunity to actually see what was coming. And that in itself, you've got to actually give yourself time to get to your next rings. As the rings close this season, they've actually made it dramatically harder to get into the rings and actually heal yourself. Being it was only the second ring going into the third ring, you know, it was great, but I was actually getting ready to go here, and I start popping off the, you know, thermite. I thought it had already heated up, it didn't. So I went ahead and heated up another one because there was another team. There's the Gibby, and right here I did not focus on the right one. I knocked the one right here, as you'll see. And here in just a second, you can see that the sight line just dropped me, and that is what hurt the most. So in closing on the game itself, it wasn't a bad game. For being a single player, I ended up in the top 6, I do believe. However, the things that you gotta look for is the ability to know when rings are closing was around you. One thing I didn't realize until watching the playback here of the video is the Lifeline was actually by herself, and the Wraith was right there fighting her. I want to take a moment and thank you all again for watching the video. Hopefully this will give you a glimpse of what Catalyst can do, and I will catch you all in the next video.